Hi everyone, Shai here. I hope all of you are doing good. Welcome to another new video. We like to think that every flight we catch will go smoothly. As we board, we will eat our little snacks and disembark at our destination without incident. But that doesn't always happen, and some people have some incredible near-death experiences to share. From the plane lands on truck to burning Russian plane. Here are some of the greatest emergency landings ever caught on camera. Number 1. Plane lands on truck. You can't believe everything on the internet. But surely you can believe an actual news segment, right? According to a news report in 2011, a plane was landing at an airport with malfunctioning landing gear, and the situation was quickly turning dire. Passengers were terrified, especially as they could hear a grinding sound and probably thought they weren't going to make it out alive. But out of nowhere, a Nissan Frontier starts speeding across the runway, positions itself in front of the plane, and takes the front wheel on its deck before bringing the aircraft to a stop. That truck was driven by a plane mechanic who decided to take evasive action to potentially save hundreds of lives. People watching the video on the internet were in absolute awe, and they couldn't believe a pickup truck and its brave driver were responsible for preventing a potentially devastating accident. But it wasn't real. The truck didn't stop a plane, nor was there ever any near accident in the first place. It was all a promotion for Nissan. I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think about the logistics. Most pickup trucks like the Nissan Frontier are probably only weight rated for about 1,500 pounds, not the many thousands of pounds of weight from a plane. That truck would have disintegrated. Number 2. Burning Russian plane. I'd have to say that out of all possible ways to die, dying aboard a plane that's on fire would have to be one of the most horrific ways to go. And sadly, that was the reality for 41 people aboard a Sukhoi Superjet 100 taking off from Sheremetyevo Airport in Moscow in 2019. The crew had sent a distress call not long after takeoff after they experienced malfunctions during bad weather. You might think that the aircraft would simply return to its starting point and land safely, but the malfunction it was experiencing must have been pretty severe. After it made its emergency landing, the plane caught fire on the runway. The crew did everything in its power to get all passengers off safely, but they couldn't save everyone. 41 people lost their lives, and the pilot, Denis Evdokimov, was apparently charged with negligence over the crash landing. Interestingly, this footage of the plane crash and subsequent fire has been shared all over social media, associated with another accident. It's also been mistaken for an accident in India. However, official sources have confirmed it was from Russia. Number 3. Plane catches fire at Miami Airport. It wasn't a great day for passengers aboard a Red Air flight from the Dominican Republic in 2022. Even though planes always land safely at Miami International Airport, this one didn't. Instead, the landing gear in the nose of the plane collapsed, and the aircraft caught fire on the tarmac before coming to a rest on the grass. The emergency crew had to race to the scene to put the fire out as 126 passengers and crew had to be quickly evacuated. Fortunately, there were no fatalities, and just 3 passengers had to be transported to the hospital to have minor injuries treated. The rest were transported by bus back to the terminal. According to the authorities, the fire was caused by the landing gear collapsing. Even though the fire was quickly under control, that might not have been the outcome if they'd been any slower getting to the scene since fuel spillage was reported. Not only was it terrifying for passengers aboard the plane, but also for those waiting to catch flights at the airport. Imagine seeing a plane on fire right before you have to board your own plane. You would never want to fly again. Before moving on to the next point, I'd like to take a moment to introduce you all to my merchandise. You can support my content by getting your favorite products from my store or by simply joining my channel. Your support means a lot to me. Now, let's get back to the video. Number 4. Dramatic emergency landing. It definitely wasn't something you see every day. A small Cessna 185 was flying over Fort McMurray in Alberta, Canada, but it didn't look like any ordinary Cessna 185. It appeared to be carrying plane debris that wasn't its own. Due to the pilot's exceptional skills, the plane was able to make an emergency crash landing at the Fort McMurray airport, and the pilot made it out alive, running toward emergency services almost immediately. However, there's a reason the pilot had to make the emergency landing in the first place. It had collided in the sky with another small aircraft, the 4-seater Cessna 172. Sadly, that plane crashed into the ground. Oh no, a medical helicopter was dispatched to locate the second plane, and it was found in an isolated area east of Fort McMurray. Sadly, the 2 people on board the aircraft, flight instructor Nabil Shouri and student Amjad Ahmed, had died. According to the flight training and aerial tour company McMurray Aviation, the plane was used for training and belonged to them. After an investigation, it was revealed that neither plane saw the other. Small planes rely on visual flight rules rather than instruments to avoid collisions with other aircraft. Factors like the plane's color against the overcast sky and the positioning of the wing while making a turn might have prevented the Cessna 172 occupants from seeing the Cessna 185. The Cessna 185 pilot was occupied talking to the tower controller and performing cockpit duties, getting ready to land when the crash happened. Number 5. Landing on North Carolina highway. How eager would you be to take to the skies again after having to make an emergency landing on a busy highway? As a new pilot, I would probably never board a plane again. Over the 4th of July weekend in 2022, Vincent Frazier went for a spin in his small plane over North Carolina when his engine failed. Vincent had fewer than 100 hours of flight experience, and he was suddenly faced with the prospect of having to perform an emergency landing. And that landing would have to be on a highway of all places, a highway with traffic. It makes me nervous just thinking about it. The Window of Inside Edition, Swain County Sheriff's Office, shared GoPro footage on their Facebook page from Vincent's perspective as he carried out the emergency landing. It showed him flying low to the ground, hovering over several cars, and narrowly avoiding power lines before making contact with the road, coming to a smooth stop, and veering off the highway into a side street. According to Sheriff Curtis Cochran, the solo occupant of the plane, Vincent was uninjured, and he said he did an outstanding job landing the plane. Vincent is a Marine veteran from Florida and only obtained his pilot's license last fall. He was very lucky to have survived that situation. Number 6. Emergency landing on a Clearwater, Florida road. You'd be pretty terrified to be driving down a road just to see a 1975 Rockwell International 112A single-engine plane traveling not far behind you. Shouldn't the plane be further up in the sky? Well, ideally, but this one in Clearwater, Florida, was getting ready for a crash landing. The pilot and his passenger had taken off from Clearwater Airpark bound for Zephyr Hills, about 50 miles away. On their way back from Zephyr Hills, they encountered a problem, and their plane went down just half a mile from Clearwater Airpark. It started flying low before banking to the left and soaring right over a deputy squad car. Those deputies responded within seconds of the plane hitting the road. Fortunately, the pilot and passengers were perfectly fine, and no bystanders were injured either. Number 7. Missing wheel emergency landing. Plane mechanics were probably shaking in their boots when they learned about a plane taking off from Belize only to lose a wheel a short time later. How on earth does a plane lose a wheel? That makes no sense. The pilot felt safe to continue flying, so he navigated himself and his passengers to Florida before notifying the control tower about a problem concerning a missing tire. The pilot then conducted a flyby maneuver, had the control tower confirm the missing wheel, and spent some time burning off fuel. The intention was to land with as little fuel as possible so that there was less of it to catch fire. It then attempted its emergency landing at the Sarasota-Bradenton International Airport. As it landed, it touched down on the runway's center before drifting to the left. Meanwhile, sparks were flying out of where the wheels should be. When it came to a stop, 3 men and 1 woman ran out of the plane's door. The good news is that it didn't catch fire, and there were no reported injuries. So, that was all for today. I hope you have watched the video up to this time stamp. Make sure to press the like button if it amazed you. Press the subscribe button if you still haven't subscribed to the channel, as it's totally free. You can follow me on all social media platforms. All links are given in the description. You can also watch other cool stuff. The playlist link is also mentioned in the description. I will catch you up soon in the next video. Till then, peace out.